What's up, investors? Hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm bringing you guys a pretty sweet stock that has some crazy upside potential, especially with this crypto boom that's happening. So it is one of the fastest growing publicly traded cryptocurrency platforms in the US, and that stock is called Voyager Digital. They do trade on the TSX and over the counter, so it's available for anyone in Canada and the US. And for those of you that have watched some of my previous videos, you know that I recently just sold my Coinbase stock after securing like 40 to 50% profit. And like I said before, absolutely nothing wrong with still holding Coinbase. But the reason why I sold was because I wanted to move that profit into something with an even higher upside. So to show you guys what I mean, I'll be comparing Voyager Digital with Coinbase, going over a number of metrics, and then giving you guys some latest updates with price targets, of course. But first, look at this. Up over 87% in a little over a week. Man, I feel so bad because I've been looking at this for so long and I started making a video on it for you guys, but I just wasn't quite finished. And by then I saw the stock go up every day like 15%. But regardless, even though it went up like 80%, there's still a very good upside to this stock. But again, that all depends on how crypto does. So if you're thinking about holding this very like short term, it may not be the best idea, but long term, man, this is going to be a beast. So right now it has a market cap of around 3.4 billion, and it reports its financials in USD. So we can check out the USD ticker to make it easier to compare. So in USD, it has a market cap of around 2.77 billion. And comparing this with Coinbase, it has a market cap of almost 90 billion. So keep that in mind, that this means that Coinbase is about 27 times more valuable than Voyager Digital, according to just the market cap. And before I go much further into this, I do want to say that all these crypto exchanges all depend on how the market does. So if crypto crashes tomorrow or next year, then there is a very high chance that the revenues for all these companies will fall because people aren't buying as much. And that's usually where most of these exchanges make money, but they also have other revenue streams as well. So before I start comparing these two companies, guys, I just want to mention that cryptocurrencies are definitely here to stay, regardless if they're popular or not in the short term, but the long term, the total addressable market is huge. So the industry growth rate is also very good. And personally, I don't see why Voyager Digital can't hit a market cap of 80-90 billion in the future, and Coinbase easily hitting a market cap of over 200 billion in the future, which is actually very close to hitting already. So if Voyager Digital actually hits that market cap of around 80-90 billion, that's a 25 to 30x from current prices. So now that we kind of have an idea of how large this opportunity could be, let's take a look at why Voyager Digital went up 80% in the last week. Also guys, take this as a quick lesson for those of you that get very anxious or paranoid when a stock is tanking, like Voyager Digital for example. When it did come on the stock exchange and had its IPO, it was tanking for quite some time. And if you bought an IPO, you'd be down about 40% up until about October 26th. But then within a week, you're back up over almost 15%. So these things happen very commonly, and you just need to be patient with it. For example, like I'm holding a stock, it's called ESC Entertainment, which I haven't talked about yet, but I'm holding it. And it's in the same situation. Like I was looking at it around when it was around 60-70 cents, right before it actually popped off. I was thinking of buying it around $1.28. It went to $4 and I was like, okay, I completely missed out. But then it came back to $1.40 and I was like, okay, you know what? It's probably near resistance, it's bottoming out. So I bought it at the $1.40, but I was down over 30% for so many months. But when it got even lower at $1, that's when I really loaded up. And now I'm up almost over 60% on the stock. So if you are patient, you can make lots of money. Don't freak out, do you guys' research and see why it's so low and if it's actually worth holding. So now back to Voyager Digital. Just going over a few recent events. Firstly, they just got approval to begin their operations in Europe, and they will be one of the first non-French, non-European firms to get this designation. So by broadening the customer segment of this market, they have even more room to grow and increase their revenues in the future. And in this release, we are told that Voyager is positioned for an initial launch of our trading app in certain European countries in late of March 2022 quarter. So we can expect revenues to continue growing next year. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is that Voyager Digital actually became the official cryptocurrency partner of the Dallas Mavericks, and this is a 5-year deal. So Voyager Digital and the Dallas Mavericks will work to make cryptocurrency more accessible through educational and community programs, global activations, and just fan engagement promotions. So this is a pretty big deal. If you guys know who Mark Cuban is, then you know that he's pretty big on cryptocurrency as well and has a very large reach and an amazing reputation. So it says here in the article that This partnership makes Voyager the first international partner of the Dallas Mavericks, enabling both parties to reach a wider global audience to raise brand awareness and drive cryptocurrency adoption around the world. And it also says that crypto assets and applications are changing how businesses and personal finances are done. We believe our partnership with Voyager will allow Mavs and NBA fans to learn more about Voyager and how they can earn more on Voyager's platform than traditional financial applications. So with the more awareness, more people knowing about Voyager and its app means more signups and more trades happening, which means more revenue. So this is a great partnership. And with this partnership, guys, Voyager was actually number 7 in all categories of the Google Play Store and briefly number 6. So it's definitely a very big deal. And now we'll go into the number 3 reason why I believe Voyager went up 80% and is still a steal of a deal. They recently just got a $75 million investment from Alameda Research, which is one of the largest cryptocurrency trading firms, and they trade over $5 billion a day across thousands of projects. So this $75 million investment will be used to help tap into the NFT and crypto derivatives. And because of this investment, Voyager Digital went up 40% the day that it was announced. So the 75 million, Voyager Digital gave up about 4% of its stake away. And so for these reasons mentioned above, the stock rallied pretty hard, and one of the last reasons is because they released their earnings as well. So before we actually go into the earnings, I do want to say, guys, if you are liking the content, you know what to do. And if you don't, then go subscribe, go like the video, comment down below. Help me get this video to 50 likes, and that would be awesome, and thanks in advance. So just going over some of the results at a high level now, and this is for the entire 2021 fiscal year, which for them ends in June, so we should be getting an update for the next quarter very shortly, but for now this is the latest information that we have available. So their revenues increased to 175 million from only 1 million last year. And in comparison, Coinbase isn't finished their full fiscal year as well, but for the full year estimate, it's around 7 billion, but their 2020 revenue was only about 1.2 billion. So they're definitely growing at a very fast pace as well, but I strongly believe that that's only due to the entire market shifting towards crypto, not anything Coinbase is doing particularly well that Voyager Digital isn't. So keep in mind that Coinbase's 2019 revenues was 533 million, which isn't too far off from the 175 million this year that Voyager Digital did. So Voyager's operating income is 56 million compared to an operating loss of 11 million last year. Positive, that's good. They're actually making some money finally. Their users grew to, it says 1.75 million here, but an updated figure is actually 2.15 million, up from 86,000. That's a huge increase. But in comparison, Coinbase has 68 million users. Total assets under management grew to 2.6 billion from just 35 million. They almost also quadrupled their headcount to 141 from just 36. Some of you might be thinking, like, why are the numbers so low in 2020? But in the first place, keep in mind that the company was actually founded in 2018, so it's barely been 3 years, like, full operation. Coinbase, on the other hand, has been in operation since 2012, so it's almost 10 years. I'm not going a lot further into Coinbase since I already made a video on it, and I will link it up here as well. But just going over some basic financials now for you guys. Like I said before, they're growing very fast, and I don't expect them to slow down anytime soon, unless something happens in the crypto market. But regardless, they're branching out like into the NFT space, and they're finding new revenue mixes. And in terms of the balance sheet now, so in terms of balance sheet, guys, with these companies, they always have large amounts of liabilities because they are holding the customer assets. So most of the time, their assets will be very close to their liabilities. Although, if you take a look at Voyager Digital, this isn't a very great balance sheet. There's nothing too concerned about it since they do have that $75 million investment from Alameda Research. Right now, if you look at it from June 30th, so it's a little old, they had roughly 3 million in total assets and about 2.9 million in total liabilities. So it's nothing too terrible. So for Coinbase, it's a very similar situation as well. They do have roughly 9 billion in customer assets, and they also have 9 billion here in customer liabilities. But the difference is that they are mainly a software company. The gross profits start drastically increasing, and this is why Coinbase has a larger chest full of cash here with almost $4.4 billion in cash. But I mean, with a $90 billion market cap, that's kind of expected. So now let's discuss some of the valuation metrics based on revenues. And like I said, with Coinbase's 90 million market cap and roughly the $7 billion in revenue, that's a price to sales ratio of about 13. It says about 14 on Yahoo Finance. However, with Voyager, based on December's quarter projections of 138 million, Voyager's run rate for the fiscal year would be around 552 million. So from the recent projections, we can see that Voyager will also be growing its revenues a lot, just like Coinbase did. So it's going to be going from 175 million in that full year to 552 million if you include the last 2 quarters. So the growth is definitely there. And at the time, like I said, in 2019, that was actually Coinbase's revenues. So in 2 years, Coinbase grew from 552 million to 7 billion. So I'm sure Voyager can be on the same path if everything is executed correctly. And at the time of doing this video, Voyager is trading at about a $2.7 billion market cap, which is about 4.8 times revenue. So if we also look at Robinhood, which is another exchange, Robinhood is trading at approximately 32 billion and they have around $1.8 billion in revenue. And that gives it a multiple of around 18 if you look at the price to sales ratio. If Voyager also achieves a similar multiple, that would place the stock at around 4 times its current value. So in like the $80 Canadian range or around $65 US. And that low revenue multiple that Voyager is receiving is due to the risks that I believe are being unfairly priced into the stock. With the NASDAQ uplisting, continued user and revenue growth, as well as revenue diversification, this may allow Voyager to start trading in line with multiples of its peers. And last but not least, guys, checking out tip ranks as well. If we look at Coinbase, it's projected to have an upside of around 5%. Compared to Voyager Digital with an upside of still around 43%. Obviously, this was a lot higher if we took a look at this last week, but it still has a pretty big upside potential. So personally, I did get to buy some right before it took off. Right now, I'm not going to be buying it just because it did go up 80% in like the week and a half. I will be watching it very closely, and if it does take a dip, I will be buying more. If you are starting a new position, I wouldn't recommend putting everything in right now. Maybe a small position and wait for it to pull back a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed everything today. Let me know what you guys are holding. If you guys want me to talk about another specific stock or anything in general, let me know down in the comments below. If you want me talking about that ESC entertainment stock that I mentioned earlier, let me know. I generally try replying to everyone. So like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.